Everyone said this was Brazil's World Cup to lose, and in a single 90-minute game against Morocco, they almost proved everyone right. In this video, we're breaking down the most shocking match of the World Cup group stage, the game where Morocco didn't just hold Brazil to a draw, they outplayed them, outthought them, and exposed every crack in the favorites' label Brazil had been carrying. We'll cover what Morocco did brilliantly, what went horribly wrong for Brazil, and what this result actually means for both teams going forward. Stay until the end, because the final takeaway might surprise you. Let's set the scene. Brazil, 5-time World Cup champions. A squad packed with Vinícius Jr., Rafinha, Casemiro, Bruno Guimaraes. A manager in Carlo Ancelotti who has won basically everything there is to win in club football. On paper, absolutely terrifying. Morocco, ranked 7th in the world. Talented, yes. Dangerous, sure. But going into this game, most people were treating them as the tricky opener, the speed bump, before Brazil got to the real business of the tournament. Here's the crazy part: Morocco didn't get the memo. From the very first whistle, it wasn't Brazil who looked like tournament favorites. It was Morocco. They pressed high. They won the ball back in midfield over and over again. Their fullbacks pushed forward with purpose. Their combinations were slick, vertical, and terrifyingly fast. While Brazil's players were still finding their rhythm, Morocco were already in second gear and pulling away. And then came the goal. Brahim Diaz, the Real Madrid man who spent years proving himself in European football, picks up the ball with two Brazilian center-backs right in front of him. Does he panic? Not even slightly. He lifts his head, plays a perfectly weighted through ball, and his striker, cool as you like, chips it over Alisson Becker. One of the best goalkeepers in the world. Beaten like he was in a 5-a-side training drill. The thing is, that goal wasn't a fluke. It was the result of everything Morocco had been building for the previous 20 minutes. Brazil's center-backs Marquinhos and Gabriel, both Champions League finalists, were caught flat-footed. The midfield had no answers. The fullbacks were being bullied up and down the pitch. And up front, Igor Thiago, Brazil's starting striker, was barely touching the ball. Now, Brazil did have a response, and it came from exactly who you'd expect: Vinícius Jr. The moment the game needed someone to do something extraordinary, he did it. Receiving a pass from Bruno Guimaraes, he drove at the Moroccan defense, created space from nothing, and fired in an equalizer. Pure individual quality. The kind of goal that reminds you exactly why he's considered one of the best players on the planet right now. But, and this is the part most people glossed over, even that goal was more about Vinícius than it was about Brazil as a team. The system around him wasn't working. The structure wasn't there. He just personally decided he was going to make something happen. And he did. But you can't build a World Cup campaign on one man repeatedly saving you from yourself. Now let's talk about Morocco properly, because they deserve way more than just being called the team that held Brazil. Their 18-year-old central midfielder Bilal El-Khanis was absolutely sensational. Let that sink in. 18 years old, on the biggest stage in world football. And he was the one dictating tempo, running the show, and making Casemiro, a Brazilian legend and serial European champion, look a full step slow. Casemiro was subbed off at halftime. An 18-year-old effectively forced Casemiro off the pitch at a World Cup. That's not a detail you just move past. Then there's Hakim Ziyech, always linking, always threatening. Achraf Hakimi at right back, arguably the best fullback in the world right now, bombing forward, defending brilliantly, doing everything. And Mazraoui on the left, who spent huge chunks of the match operating almost as a midfielder, driving into space, creating numerical overloads that Brazil simply couldn't solve no matter what they tried. The Moroccan system was genuinely something to behold. Their build-up was fast and intentional. Every first touch was already pointing toward the next pass, the next run, the next threat on goal. It looked unintentional, almost accidental. It absolutely wasn't. That kind of connected, fluid football takes months of serious work to get right. And their manager has clearly gotten it very, very right. So what does Brazil do from here? The uncomfortable truth for Brazilian fans is that the problems go deeper than just picking the wrong starting 11. There's no clear identity to this team. Are they a high-press side, a possession team, a counter-attacking outfit? In this match, they tried to be none of those things consistently, and it showed in every single phase of the game. The fullbacks were outpaced and outclassed. The midfield couldn't hold the ball long enough to give the attackers any kind of platform. Rafinha worked harder than anyone on the pitch, covering enormous ground, but work rate without a defined role isn't a game plan, it's just running. And Igor Thiago, asked to lead the line at a World Cup, wasted the biggest chance of the match, a free header inside the 6-yard box that should have been a goal. The calls for Neymar still sidelined are getting louder. And looking at this match honestly, it's hard to argue against them. Brazil needs someone who can hold the ball under pressure, link midfield to attack, and take the creative burden off Vinícius's shoulders. Without that connection, the whole machine jams. Neymar, even at 70% fitness, might be the only player in that squad who provides it. But here's the thing: Morocco don't need saving by a returning superstar. They already look like a complete team. A world-class goalkeeper in Bono, a defense that is organized, physical, and genuinely hard to break. A midfield that can both press and create at the same time. Forwards who are direct and clinical. The Brazil of Africa label their own players have used? After watching this game, it doesn't feel like hype. It feels like a statement of intent. The draw was a fair result on paper, but the gap in collective quality told a very different story, and that should worry the Brazilian camp far more than the scoreline itself suggests. So here's the big takeaway. Brazil are not the dominant force they've been hyped up to be, not yet, and maybe not at this tournament at all without serious changes. The fullbacks are a problem. The midfield lacks someone to control games. The striker spot is unsettled, and for all their individual brilliance, without a proper creative engine, this team can be neutralized by any well-organized side. Morocco, on the other hand, are no longer a dark horse or an underdog story. They are a genuine contender built for knockout football, mentally unshakable, tactically brilliant. Any team that faces them in the knockout rounds should be very, very worried. The World Cup just got a whole lot more interesting. Can Brazil fix their problems in time, or is this the beginning of a tournament collapse? And does Morocco have what it takes to go all the way? Drop your take in the comments below and subscribe for full coverage of every big game this World Cup.